the first day of recreational marijuana sales in Missouri. We'll visit a dispensary in Carthage. Plus, why a lot of people in the 4 states and around the nation are wearing red today. And
Pentagon officials are rejecting China's explanation about a balloon floating over the central U.S. I'm Willie James Inman on Capitol Hill. I'll have the latest on that flying object and the diplomatic fallout.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
it's day one for the legal sale of recreational marijuana in Missouri. This is KOAM News at 5. I'm Dow Quick. Blue Sage Dispensary in Carthage is among the retailers participating in this first day of sales. Buyers have to be at least 21 years old and have a legal ID. Recreational sales are taxed at 6%, while medicinal sales are still taxed at 4%. The state's in the process of approving recreational and hybrid licenses for Missouri dispensaries.
Today, word will slowly kind of get out throughout the day, and we'll probably just keep getting more busy. It's already getting a little busy. People are hearing about it, phones ringing off the hook. Hey, I saw on Instagram.
Out-of-state residents and out-of-state medical cards are accepted with a valid ID. Let's check in with meteorologist Sam Lane for a first look at the weather.
Thank you very much, Dow. It's been a beautiful day across the area. Lots of sunshine and not much in the way of precipitation anywhere on radar. It has to go all the way down to the south where there was some activity yesterday evening, but that has now dissipated. This evening, we're going to see temperatures dropping through the 40s into the 30s, all the way into the upper 20s by tomorrow morning with increasing clouds. And as we look down the lane, we're going to have a windy Saturday. That's going to be the big story tomorrow. And a warmer weekend overall with some showers coming into our forecast by the time we move into Monday and Tuesday, some rain. And of course, I'll have all the details on that coming up in your forecast in just a little bit. So you want to stay tuned for that.
All right, we'll see you soon. Some young students in Carthage received new books to read in their free time. The Carthage Family Literacy Council today donated books for each student in the Tiger Prep Academy in Columbus Elementary School. Although children in this program are preparing for kindergarten and can't read yet, they say it's a great benefit for the young students who can help them learn their letters. The books are for the students to take home each night, return, and trade out the next day.
Literacy Council has actually offered books that they have been able to take home and keep at home, as well as this program, which will allow us to use the books back and forth from home to school on a daily basis. And so it just puts more books in their hands for those who may not have those resources at home.
These two groups weren't the only students receiving books. The council also stopped at Fairview Elementary School's Tiger Prep class to distribute more books. Show me what makes you smile. That was the theme for this assembly of 4th and 5th graders at Joplin's Irving Elementary School. A doctor from the KCU College of Dental Medicine had a presentation for the kids about the importance of oral health.
So important to start early. So what we know is that your oral health is connected to your overall health, meaning when your mouth is healthy, it helps the rest of your body be healthy. And so the earlier that we can start with children, we can actually develop those healthy behaviors, and it can not only prevent disease in the future that's in their mouth, but it can also help them stay healthy and grow up to be really healthy adults.
The assembly helps to kick off Children's Dental Health Month. The Pentagon says a Chinese balloon being used for surveillance is flying some 60,000 feet above the central U.S. and it's now heading east. As the situation unfolds, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has postponed a high-stakes diplomatic mission to China. Willie James Inman reports from Washington.
The Pentagon says the Chinese balloon has changed course and is flying high above the central U.S. and heading east.
This is a surveillance balloon, operating at about 60,000 feet. Clearly, we did a very close assessment in terms of what it's doing.
Defense officials expect the solar-powered object to remain over the nation for several more days.
I think what makes this different is the duration and the length of which it has been over U.S. territory.
The balloon was spotted in Montana, home to a nuclear missile site. Washington is rejecting Beijing's claim it was for weather research and that wind blew it off course.
The balloon has violated U.S. airspace and international law, which is unacceptable. And so we've conveyed this directly to the PRC at multiple levels.
In a statement, the Chinese Foreign Ministry expressed regret over what it called the unintended entry into U.S. airspace, saying it has limited self-steering capabilities.
It is a threat because it is gathering information that the Chinese Communist Party, the People's Liberation Army could use against us.
The incident involving two of the world's major superpowers is already showing signs of increasing tensions with China. Secretary of State Antony Blinken postponed a trip to Beijing this weekend for high-level meetings. Officials ruled out shooting down the balloon, citing potential danger from falling debris. They say it does not pose a threat to people on the ground, as many look up trying to spot it. Willie James Inman, CBS News, Washington.
A U.S. official says a Chinese balloon has never been over the middle of our country before. The source says Florida once had a brief overflight, as did Hawaii. Still ahead, employment news.
A surprising new report shows the economy added more than 500,000 jobs last month. I'm Bradley Blackburn, and I'll explain why this good report could actually be bad news.
But first, a lot of people across the 4 states and the nation are wearing red today. We'll explain the message they're trying to send. Topping today's Health Watch, workers at Freeman Health and elsewhere are wearing red today to raise awareness of heart disease among women. It's all part of the American Heart Month and National Wear Red Day in association with the American Heart Association. Officials want people to know about the dangers of cardiovascular disease, the leading cause of death for women in America. Freeman says only 56% of women recognize heart disease dangers, mostly because warning signs differ between men and women.
Every minute of every day, a woman loses her life, and that is someone's wife, sister, daughter, aunt. It's a precious, precious life lost to heart disease every moment of every day.
Some of the symptoms specific to women are heart-related back pains and shortness of breath, even indigestion. It's not just here, of course. People all across our nation are wearing red to raise awareness. The American Heart Association says fewer than half of women recognize that heart disease is the #1 killer of females. Wendy Gillette reports on why awareness of heart issues is so important.
Good girl, there's my girl.
48-year-old Dina Pinelli from Long Island, New York, walks her beloved rescue dog, Ananda, thankful to be alive after a massive health scare in 2020 at the start of the pandemic.
To have 3 heart attacks in 12 days, I can't even really comprehend it, even 2.5 years later. It's mind-blowing and life-changing and makes everything different.
But she was the one who woke you up.
She was the one that woke me up. She knew what was happening, and she jumped up on the bed.
Pinelli credits Ananda for alerting her of her first heart attack while she was sleeping. But her symptoms, which she considered unusual, did not immediately bring her to the ER.
My wrist just ached. Then I had pain in my back, pain in my chest. I couldn't move.
NYU Langone cardiologist Dr. Harmony Reynolds says it's vital women seek help for all types of possible symptoms of cardiovascular problems, given that heart disease leads to more deaths than all forms of cancer combined.
It's scary to think, could this be a heart attack? I think that people don't go to the hospital because they're afraid that it might be a heart attack, and then what? Well, then what is we treat it.
Pinelli was treated with 2 stents and now takes several drugs. She's one of this year's Go Red for Women class of real women survivors.
We have to really be mindful of our bodies. No one knows our body better than us.
Pinelli is back to active exercising after her heart attacks. Her trusty companion always close by her side. Wendy Gillette, CBS News, Huntington Station, New York.
The Heart Association says life events, including pregnancy and menopause and stress, can impact cardiac health. People in rural communities are more likely to face severe maternal complications and death than those living in urban areas. Researchers at the University of Michigan say it's because rural residents have lower rates of continuous health insurance before, during, and after pregnancy, when they're likely to face issues related to hypertension or depression. The COVID-19 pandemic presented researchers at the National Institutes of Health with major successes and challenges. Former NIH Director Dr. Francis Collins says the rapid development and emergency use authorization of 2 mRNA vaccines were critical to public health, but more work is needed to better understand long COVID. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, the good and the bad news from the latest jobs reports.
And we have a little bit of good news and a little bit of bad news with the weather. We'll have all the details when we come back. We had a beautiful day across the 4 states today. Lots of sunshine, hardly a cloud in the sky in many locations, and temperatures are starting to respond to that. We can see right now outside at Seneca, Missouri at Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, not a cloud on the camera. And as a result, we've had a pretty nice day across the area. Temperatures warming into the 40s. In fact, we made it up to 44 today, but we did have a chilly start. It started out at 17, which was way below the normals of 47 and 26, so we ended up below normal for the day. But after the winter we've had so far, I think everyone's going to be happy with that. Radar is clear right now, but that is not the case if you head over to the East Coast where a storm system is now departing. And by the way, northern parts of Washington and Mount Washington and New Hampshire, wind chill of minus 100 degrees. Can you imagine? But that is staying well away from us. Instead, we're going to be watching this next storm system moving onto the west coast that is moving in our direction, but it's going to take its sweet time in getting here, and so as a result, we're going to have a pretty nice weekend in store. 43 right now in Joplin under mostly fair skies, south-southwest wind at 13, so it makes it feel a little bit cooler out there at 36 with the wind chill. 15 degrees on the dew point, so the air is pretty dry, and that's going to be a factor in our weather as well because the fire danger is going to start to increase with the winds tomorrow. Temperatures right now are generally in the 40s, a few 30s sprinkled in like Nevada with 38, 39 in Fort Scott, 39 in Pittsburgh. And we're a little bit colder than we were 24 hours ago up to the north, about 11 degrees colder now in Iola as well as Chanute than it was 24 hours ago, slightly warmer down to the south in Grove. Here's a look at the winds, because this is the big story for tomorrow. You can see winds by tomorrow morning will be gusting up close to 40 miles per hour across a large part of the area on those southerly winds. And then in the afternoon, we're going to see those winds continuing, and by tomorrow evening, we'll still see winds of around 40 to 45 miles per hour. But the good news is Sunday, we're going to get a little bit of a break, but then as we go into Monday, the winds come back. And again, 40 to 45 miles per hour are going to be a pretty common number, especially as we head into the afternoon hours. So just be careful with the fire over the weekend. Temperatures this evening are going to drop down into the 30s across the area with southerly winds. Then tomorrow, partly to mostly cloudy skies with temperatures in the upper 40s to lower 50s across the area with those strong winds. And then as we go through Sunday morning, we're going to see temperatures dropping into the 20s and 30s across our area. The winds will be lighter, especially on Sunday afternoon with temperatures in the mid 50s across the area, even some lower 60s. Wouldn't that feel nice down in Oklahoma on Sunday afternoon? Then as we go into Monday morning, temperatures are going to be dropping into the 30s and 40s with those strong south winds returning once again. Looking down the road, the cold air is going to retreat back up to the north and east, and mild weather will start to move back in for the weekend. But then as we go through time, the cold air is going to come back in with the storm system as it moves into Tuesday with a cold rain. And then once the system departs, we could see yet another winter-like situation as we go into the extended forecast. Rainfall amounts on Monday and Tuesday are going to be generally around 1/4 inch, heavier amounts to the south, lighter amounts to the north and west. Over the next 7 days, here's your forecast. Windy tomorrow, sunny on Sunday, showers on Monday, and then rain comes back in on Tuesday. And then I had to do it, Dow, threw in a chance of snow on Friday. But of course, winter is not gone away just yet.
Guess not. A chance of snow.
Yep, got to throw it in there.
Thanks, Sam.
All right.
Well, as Sam mentioned, the temperature is plunging dangerously low in parts of our country. In fact, you could see some of the coldest conditions some states in the Northeast have seen in decades. Michael George reports.
Across the Northeast, Americans are hunkering down.
Today, particularly, I'm happy I work from home.
And bundling up as a powerful blast of Arctic air grips the region.
That's crazy. This is bipolar weather. I have to double up on, like, I'm wearing PJs underneath my pants.
Schools in Boston and Worcester made the decision to close Friday, with conditions in Massachusetts likely to break records, and homeless shelters prepared for the increased need.
For all of us, this will be an inconvenience. If you're staying outside, this is life or death.
In Wausau, Wisconsin, the midday temperature reading was -3 degrees. Here in New York, the wind chills have already dropped to close to 0 degrees. By Friday night, it'll feel like 5 to 20 below.
Any bare skin is numbing, and with the breeze, it makes it even colder.
The bone-chilling temperatures in the Northeast come after parts of Texas were hit by a deadly winter ice storm, leaving hundreds of thousands without power. Many Austin residents were still in the dark Friday morning.
The city let its citizens down. The situation is unacceptable to the community, and it's unacceptable to me, and I'm sorry.
The National Weather Service warns it can take less than 10 minutes for frostbite to set in, so people experiencing this cold snap are advised to stay indoors. Temperatures are expected to warm up in those eastern states by Sunday. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
The winter weather is blamed for at least 11 deaths across Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Texas. Coming up, the potential link between the job market and inflation. First, though, we honor a local veteran. Chief Petty Officer Keith Miller served in the U.S. Navy aboard the USS Regal at Pearl Harbor. The Seneca, Missouri native was later stationed in Argentina, Newfoundland, and the Naval Air Station in Hutchinson, Kansas. Chief Petty Officer Keith Miller, a four-state hero. Topping today's Consumer Watch, the latest jobs report comes in as a major surprise. Bradley Blackburn has a look inside the numbers and explains why the positive report could lead to higher interest rates.
Chipotle needs more workers as the restaurant chain prepares for spring, its busiest time of the year.
A massive campaign nationwide to bring on 15,000 more people who want to join our brand.
Restaurants, hotels, and other hospitality businesses continue to look for help. Last month, the industry grew by 128,000 jobs, and they were far from the only ones hiring. Overall, the economy added a surprising 517,000 jobs, way over the 180,000 many economists had expected. The unemployment rate dropped to 3.4%, the lowest number in half a century.
These numbers are really pretty amazing considering the slowdown in growth that we've seen over the last 3 months or so.
President Biden celebrated the latest report.
Good morning, everyone. More people are coming into the market looking for jobs and getting jobs.
The job market remains resilient even though tech giants like Google, Twitter, and Facebook's parent company Meta announced massive layoffs recently. More job growth also presents a challenge for the Federal Reserve, which opted for a lower interest rate hike this week. The central bank signaled its strategy to slow the economy and ease inflation is starting to work. But this jobs report could change that perspective.
The strength of the labor market might encourage the Federal Reserve to raise interest rates again when they meet in March and maybe one more time after that.
The Fed has previously said the labor market needs to soften for inflation to come down. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
Nearly 3 years after the COVID pandemic started, more people are heading back to the office. Security tracker Cassidy Systems reports that offices across 10 major U.S. cities are now just more than halfway filled. The firm says it's the first time since early 2020 that occupancy has crossed the 50% mark. The milestone comes as some major companies have started to crack down on employees reluctant to return. And a first-of-its-kind study finds electric cars are having a positive impact on respiratory health. Researchers at USC examined data on zero-emission vehicles in California. They found as electric car adoption grew within a given zip code, local air pollution levels and asthma-related emergency room visits dropped. A final check of the forecast next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, the latest on the apparent Chinese spy balloon over the U.S. and its potential track. And then on KOAM News at 6, we're going to hear from some four-staters legally buying recreational marijuana in Missouri today. Plus, we're going to talk with some of the organizers of that book giveaway for some young Southwest Missouri kids and why a street in Utah is now named after Patrick Mahomes. My question is, why aren't they all? Stay with us. CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6.
That big game coming up soon.
I've heard about that, yes,
Yeah.
coming up in a little more than a week. In the weather, we have some warmer weather coming up.
We do. We have a great weekend in store. If you can hold on to your hat on Saturday with very windy conditions, And then on Sunday looks to be beautiful with temperatures in the upper 50s to around 60. Rain comes in early next week, and then unfortunately a chance of light snow maybe on Friday, and then turning a little bit chilly behind that system, and then yet another system behind that one. So lots of active weather this week.
Thanks for joining us. The CBS Evening News is next, and of course we're going to be right back here for KOAM News at 6. See you then. Let's make it a great evening.